Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Today we have two brand new stories for you, starting with the one where our OP succeeded in his job, and it was his revenge. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. 8 years on it, still feels good. I started my current job about 8 years back. I'd been made unemployed and as rated volunteering at a small charity shop to keep myself busy and to help out my friend who was a store assistant there at the time. I was working as an agency worker night shift out at a local milk/cheese factory to cover my bills, but I was there when I could be. In a short space of time, I had the running of the shop down and was given a set of keys. Shortly after that, on the run-up to Christmas, the manager quit and they offered me the job. I was surprised they didn't offer it to my friend, but I later found out that he had been turning up to some shifts high and had been placed on probation. He walked out when I told him they had given me the job. So I was the new manager. My official training was delayed as they just wanted me to keep things running until after the Christmas rush, so they sent me to a successful shop in the city to have a crash course. After Christmas, the shop had been moved into a different area grouping, and I got a new area manager, who we'll call AM. Cue the start of 2 years of hell. My town is fairly small, rural town in southern Scotland. It used to be an old market town, so there's a lot of farming down here. AM was in charge of a great number of city shops and started demanding that we make as much income as those shops do. I was allowed no creative liberty until I proved myself against AM's ever-changing goalposts. One visit, she would tell me to rearrange the whole shop, so we would. The next visit, sometimes in the same week, she'd complain that my layout was idiotic and that I was an idiot for doing it that way. This went on for 6 months. I was expected to go to meetings in a town that, out of 26 shops, I was the only one that could not get there via public transport, and she refused to pay for vehicle rental, though I was not insured to use my car for work purposes. I still did it and claimed the mileage back, which instead of allowing me to place it against her area manager account, as was done for everyone else, it came out of my shop profits, being marked further against my profits. It was a 2-hour drive to the meeting, and the local rental place didn't open until 8 a.m. The meeting started at 9:30. I was always half an hour late, and this was marked against me in my personal reviews. There were times I was fasting as part of my beliefs, and she mocked them at the meetings. My input was always ignored. The one time my shop actually got top shop for something, I didn't get a little prize when everyone else did. If it was someone's birthday, there was always cake, and we'd have a little whip around, like 5 pounds each, to buy them a gift, except me when mine came, etc. It was horribly excluding. While this was going on, she kept on sending me to her favorite shop in the city to get training. Training seemed to consist of me doing their processing for them. Every day away from my shop was a day my shop suffered as she would not authorize the hiring of a new assistant, so it was being volunteer run, and I didn't have many volunteers at that time, so nothing got done. I would return to piles of donations heaped on the floor and the rails half empty, end up staying late or sometimes overnight to get it back on track. When AM found out about this, she insulted me further, saying that it was my failure as a manager. If I work an extra 8 hours and only manage to get the shop back on its feet, during this time, we were actually making our targets more often than not. I should point out, the shop wasn't failing, but I was made to feel like it was. Certainly we were not doing as well as I knew we could be, but, well, I'll get to that. Every 6 months, we had some kind of personal development review. It's an opportunity for the manager to give some feedback on how they're doing and for the area manager to give some advice and set out a plan. My reviews consisted of, "You're a terrible manager and you should quit. You'll never succeed in this business." In my final review before I got transferred to another area, she put away her notebook and told me that she'd been trying to get me to quit so that she could get someone who was actually halfway useful in the job. It was horrible and humiliating. Once per year, if you got a good PDR, you would be eligible for a yearly bonus and small pay raise. I never got either, despite the shop being ahead on targets. My feedback to her was to please allow me to run the shop as if it was mine and not as if I was a glorified shop assistant, to let me make creative decisions about layout, rota, window displays, POS, etc. I was always told that I hadn't shown that I was good enough to do that. She insisted the shop behave and earn like her city center shops. We never would. I knew it, she knew it. I couldn't leave the job for a variety of reasons. Full-time, reasonably paid employment isn't common to find down here, plus my dad had a stroke and I didn't want to move away while he was still in rehabilitation, and my girlfriend was also down here working, so it was fine. I'm also pretty good at not bringing work home with me, so I still got to relax and enjoy my time not in the shop. After 2 years, the shop is passed to a new area and a new area manager. AM literally wrote in her handover notes that I was a nightmare to work with, and the shop will probably close in a year without significant area manager oversight. What she seemed to have forgotten was that the new area manager was actually the shop manager the charity had sent me to do the crash course training with. The manager there had been promoted to area and had essentially been given all the shops nobody wanted to work with as a new area. She took one look at the shop, told me that it didn't look like I was enjoying myself. I very professionally told her what had been happening. She said, "You know your town, you know your shop, you do you, and we'll see what happens." So I started to run the shop like it's my own, rather than AM's. Profits rise week 1, up 40%, then 60%. At one point, we were consistently 100% over target for 3 months. On every regional call, AM had to hear about how amazing my shop was doing and how we were regularly the best shop in the region, and on one week, in the nation, out of over 600 shops. We kept this up for another 2 years before our targets got a major readjustment. 4 years since then, we're still making targets. Had a couple of record-breaking weeks each year. 2 weeks back, we actually made over 400% of what our old targets were. And every year at the regional conference, AM shoots me a dirty look, and I just smile. She gave us up for dead, tried openly to make me quit, made my work life absolute hell for 2 years, and now I'm outperforming almost every shop in her area. Ha ha! Personally, I think success is the best revenge, because it makes the other person realize just how little influence they actually have. And our last story. Abusive boss gets what he deserves. I'm a lady. I was 48 at the time with a fantastic figure. Lots of yoga and ballet-type exercises, natural fiery red hair, and a strong work ethic. The company I worked for was a large hotel chain, and I was in the front lobby doing lots of greeting and helping with any needs and wishes. The way we looked in our uniforms was very important, and the company's CEO often showed up to do surprise inspections. I had my uniforms tailored to fit, ironed it every night, and lucked out that the uniform color really made my hair color pop. So the CEO, a ladies' man, always stopped to say hello, have a personal chat, a cup of coffee, and the warm cookies we always have to serve. He was always rating the quality of everything, very hands-on boss from my point of view. A new boss was hired as the district manager, 2 levels above me, and he hired a new hotel general manager, who I'll call Dickie. Dickie was 23 years old and the type of guy that's known by all as a brown-noser. Dickie also thought he was a ladies' man, but had a very plain wife and 3 tiny toddlers that were sadly constantly sick with snotty noses. As a GM, he wanted only pretty, shapely ladies working for him. He started right away firing all of the older ladies and replacing them with lovely women. Dickie also thought it was okay to pat, pinch, and whole hand grab the ladies' behinds. The D would walk past a line of us ladies working at the counter, and every one of us got a swat. You could hear the pop, 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 pop as he made contact with each butt. I was by far the oldest, so I objected and told him loudly, "Dickie, stop that. I'm old enough to be your mother." He didn't stop. So 3 of us ladies went to the district manager and asked him to tell Dickie to stop with the touching. A month later, Dickie was still patting bottoms. I asked the district manager if he had a talk with Dickie yet. 4 of us ladies heard the DM say, yes, the talk had been given. A week later, Dickie is still pinching while the DM was gone on a family vacation at a hotel in Palm Springs. A lady in Human Resources asked the D if DM had talked to him yet about the complaints made about his actions. No, was the answer. There had been no serious conversations with the DM about anything, so the district manager had lied to us ladies. Okay, that was it for me. That evening, I secured another job and wrote a 7-page letter to the CEO. The letter was about a great company, great place to work, a bad pinching/grabbing boss, and how this type of action could really cost the company a lot of money because of the actions and non-actions of the managers. Situations like this are a food source for new outlets. If the CEO wanted to talk to the district manager, he'd have to call the DM at the nudist hotel since he was on vacation. Next day, I faxed the CEO the long letter. Apparently, the big boss was out of the office, and the secretary called him on his phone and read the letter to him. CEO called me from his car within half an hour of my fax, and we had an hour-long conversation. I did also get to include my "I'm old enough to be your mother" comment, and I laughed when I heard a sharp intake of breath on the phone line. I told CEO that as of the end of my shift, I no longer worked for him because I had a job elsewhere. CEO called the district manager at the hotel and told him to go directly to the CEO's office when he got back from vacation. He was fired the next week. Dickie also got a call and was told to leave the hotel property and stay away. 2 of the ladies that had been fired were rehired the next day and told to run the hotel until further notice. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.